Well, hello my lovelies. Today we'll look at some cultural artifacts. So let's get started. I just love just showing you things and making videos, so I guess I have to continue. So over the years I've collected just a few bits and pieces of old junk. But this old junk, it tells a story, doesn't it, of the Stone Age reaching into the 20th century and the 21st century. So we're going to look at some Mayan, some German, some other Central European, Pacific bits and bobs. We may as well start with this guy here. And we're going to interpret some of this the Dr. Coss way. You can interpret ancient artifacts based on books. So I'll show you a few books that you can use. But the thing is to remember is these authors don't know that much. So primitive art. Here's another one. It's a rare one. It's Art and Identity in Oceania. Another one over here. It's prehistoric European art. So and we actually see a similar sort of picture to what we see here next to us. And what is this? It's a Balinese, Indonesian sort of thing, a totem pole. We've discussed it before, the triple world. One other thing that's interesting, look at the face, how it curves like that. It sort of curves a bit like the moon. So it's weird, it's inset, it's curving like this. There's an old archaeological theory that Africans were from Asia. They're not from Africa. They are from Asia. There is something to this, which is quite interesting. Some of the earliest African art you will find, I believe, is actually the Bradshaw art of Australia. The fact that Indonesian stuff looks a lot like African stuff, I think is part of the mystery surrounding this. I had an Indonesian visiting, and he said, "Oh, you've got some Indonesian stuff." He looked at this. Stay. You better stay there. He's not very cooperative because his ear, the rebel. Yeah, this is ear. This is ear, the rebel god. He's not very cooperative. We'll get into that. He saw this thing here. Let's call him Freddy. I don't know what we can call him, but anyway. And he said, this is, oh, you got Indonesian stuff. And I was like, oh, I thought this was African. And he said, no. He said, oh yeah, it could be African too. Yeah. So why is this fellow ear? What's going on? He's very likely to be the moon god due to the crescent face, the long face, similar to Easter Island. We have so this is I guess you could call it the Balinese version of what's happening on Easter Island. But in this case, he's being depicted as a triple god, the triple world, in this totem pole, which is quite interesting. Quite fun indeed. So is this ear? Is this ear? This is typical Oceanian sort of stuff, or well, you could call it. It's more old world, isn't it, than Oceania? But the Oceanian stuff is similar. For example, there's crossover. So these are Asmat shields here, and these are kind of similar to what's happening with Freddy. We're seeing the zigzags and the diamonds and the chevrons, and we're seeing that quite a lot here as well. With this fellow here. Also, where the third eye is, we're seeing a face like another god there with a huge tall headdress, almost pyramidal, pointy in structure, and he in fact has either really long legs or a huge beard. Now, lots of these books on this topic, these are anthropologists. They're not in tune with ancient mythology very much at all, so they're not really trying to explain what they see going on here. He's got a pair of earrings. It's quite interesting indeed. So that's Oceanian, but is it also African? And are the Africans from the Pacific? What else do we have here? Oh, here's like another one of these Indonesian things from the mid-century. Rather interesting. Is he again the Min, the moon? Who knows? Who really knows? But all these statues with these long faces, the silent eyes or the wide eyes, we can associate them with the moon. And possibly again we have these from Europe. So these are two statues of men with movable arms now missing, and one probably female with neck ring bronze, height 5 inches. The former from Stockhult, Skåne, Sweden. The later from Ingolstadt, Skåne, Sweden. Yeah, just absolutely fascinating. So ancient Vikings were making very similar faced statues, almost totems with long legs and very skinny. You notice the skinniness of these Swedish statues and the skinniness of these people here, because at one time everyone decided to travel everywhere out of simple inquisitiveness. And that is what is absolutely missing from modern archaeology, unfortunately. Again, the big eyes, the strange faces. This is primitive art from is actually from Africa. Again, it's almost this god, isn't it? It's this rebel god. All right, let's move on. So, so a friend, he knows who he is. He showed me. He found this stone on a beach, and it was like an axe head, but it wasn't. I believe it wasn't sharp. It was like a, and Steve Strong told me that it was actually for summoning the rain and the thunder, but it's a bit dangerous as well, and women are not allowed to touch it. It's a man thing. So what's happening is, I believe that's in Europe, you'd call that Thor's hammer. Is this Thor's hammer? This is a ceremonial chupaga or chopper in English, a chopper. But it's pure ceremonial, and you have intricate sort of artwork on the head with spirals and swirls and things. And this was used in the mountains of southern Poland. It's just for ceremonial dancing. That's all it's for. And it's got a point on the bottom because for knocking on just making a bit of noise on the ground. And one of Dad's, I inherited this from one of Dad's friends, and I have to wonder. Is it Thor's hammer? Because Thor had this magical hammer which he used for thunder and lightning. So, and that reminds me very much of the Aboriginal legends for these thunderstones and that you can find. And it's like they're not. It's like an axe head that's not designed to be used. If you ever see an axe head that doesn't look like it's designed to be used, you might have a Thor's hammer. And I think not many people or anyone is saying this. What else we got here? This is a mid-century Mayan thing. It's obviously not Mayan. This was, you can find tons of these on eBay, and it seems they were popular in the mid-century. You'd put them on a office desk, and you'd say, oh, look, you know, it would look fancy, you know, you'd be smoking a cigarette or something. You'd have this on the desk and maybe an inkwell, right? And it's basically, you know, sweat of the sun, tears of the moon. The Mayan moon is crying. It's got these with this iridescent sort of tears on its ears as well. Actually, in this case, but there's hundreds of these. They call them Mayan. It's still got Mayan death mask on eBay, and it's made from composite stone, just sort of an imitation of what the Mayans were up to, and it's actually quite interesting in some ways. It's almost geological, isn't it? What would that be? Is it the moon? The man in the moon. Is that what this is? Tears of the moon. In fact, that is what it is. So that's why it appears to be made from different types of rock. And this is the moon god Min, which is also Ea. Here, possibly there. We find this god everywhere. Here, look, here he is again. From the Pacific with the funny mouth, and from the Mayan world. And of course, this is 20th century, this is 20th century, but it's sort of done in the same way, isn't it? By the same similar peoples. And anyway, so this Ea religion, this moon religion, was everywhere. He was even ruling the Soviet Union. We'll get into that in another video versus the sun religion of Germany. We'll get into that. So in ancient Germany, so I bought this a long time ago. I bought lots of these things I bought this maybe in the 90s, around 97 or something. And it's a made in Germany beer mug, right? They call it, I don't know what they call it, but it's nice quality. It seems to be some kind of, I don't know if that's an aluminum top or something. It's quite shiny. It might be from the 50s. My guess is probably the 50s or something like that. And it's got just scenes of people, men drinking and sort of German farmhouses and so forth. And you'll notice a few things. It's done in imitation of wood. It's got lots of details. But what's going on there? Why the German Prussian spiky thing? Now, 3 of these Bronze Age witches' hats were found in Germany. They're witches' hats basically made of really heavy bronze or copper. And I'm wondering, is this a continuity of that? And if so, and that is what presumably the Merlins or the magicians were. Look at the word Merlin. It's actually pronounced Marvin, and Latin is changed it to Merlin. But look at the root, M-E, it's similar to moon. In other words, this is a moon priest. And so I'm wondering, is there some continuity between this artifact and the old witches' hats from Germany? Because the other countries don't so much do this, do they? What else we got here? There's one more thing. So this is a Russian icon, and it's not really worth anything. So I bought this maybe in '99 at an auction, and here's the thing, right? Catholics do worship saints. If you look up, do Catholics worship saints? You will find Catholic websites saying, no, they don't. We venerate the saints, which is the same thing, but or we respect the saints, but we don't worship them. No, we don't worship them. Well, I don't think that's accurate. I think, and they say, do Catholics worship Mary? And they say, no, we don't worship Mary, we venerate Mary. No, that's not true. Catholics worship, do worship the saints. And Russians, as you can see, the Orthodox, do worship icons with iconography of saints. In this case, St. Michael, who is, again, Michael, named after the moon, so it's got that root. I don't want to draw this into everything, but he's also taking the role of Thor, killing the world serpent. In which case he must also be killed because the world must be formed anew. And the world serpent seems to be coming out of a black lake. Why would that be? Because the black lake is the dark waters of the Bible. And the dark waters are what is at creation. So he comes out, he gets killed, this is the creation of, I would say this is the creation of the world. But it's been interpreted as someone who didn't really exist in Libya in the 3rd century or so, isn't it? But it's not. It's a very old god whose existence has been blanked out by history, by religious peoples not wanting to admit they're worshipping an older god and instead saying, we're monotheists, but not really. But we're monotheists. We just worship one. And obviously mono is named after the moon as well. So it's an early monotheism. But on the white horse, dressed like a Roman, and there was a god with wings as well in ancient times. A horse with wings. Anyway, guys, hope you've enjoyed this little video. Absolutely fascinating stuff going on here, isn't it? So just a quick look at some cultural artifacts, and however you want to interpret them is up to you. All right, guys, Abzu is the abyss in Sumerian lore. So this is the creature from Abzu, same in ancient Egypt. If you have these gods these are gods in ancient Egypt. So why would you say these are not ancient gods? This is exactly what the saints are and what they are. And the Catholics kind of covered that up a bit, didn't they? They said, no, these are not ancient gods. These are, if they're not ancient gods, what are they? Figment? Did they create them? Fictional? They didn't create them. They're based on earlier ideas. All right. Hope you've enjoyed that little look. There we go. Well, guys, it's happened again. I've got more information because I just looked at this in the kitchen. It's a Polish mead jug from the 70s. And often the mead jugs, they're like these honey or brown coloured vessels from Central Europe. But you again look at the witch's hat on top and you can turn that upside down if you want to. Is this done in imitation of ancient ritual objects? Now, from Pomerania, where you actually have these such as right here. These are from Sweden, but you see many of these hats on top of the gods. You see these hats on top of Pomeranian style vessels, and you also have the faces, and that's the problem, isn't it? Because these people, apparently, they went to the New World, didn't they? So here we have a book, Ancestors of the Incas, and you see all these vessels with, these are actually pitchers, and they're for holding water or whatever, and they've got the faces just like the ones you might see in ancient Poland, which is really fascinating. These people went from Europe and Asia to the New World with their ship technology. Again, a grey statue. It's going to be the moon. Yeah, there we go, people. There we go. More of these strange jugs. Anyway, guys, hope you've enjoyed a look at some ancient old artifacts and artworks, and the more and this is the central point of the video. We're seeing the spread of Min across the world, and we've seen the spread of the same artworks, the same styles across the world. We've seen not just pyramids. There are pyramids in the Mayan world, in the Indonesian world, but we see the same God, the same open mouth, narrow-eyed God of the moon, of the man in the moon. Anyway, guys,